long time ago, but I still have vivid memories because I love that city in entire Kenya. So I hope to get to visit soon. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jerusalem. Yeah, I also, hope that you visit Nairobi sometime soon. I'm looking forward to visiting Nairobi, this week actually. And we now want to get started. We are live on YouTube, and I see that Chris is already here with us on YouTube as well as on Clubhouse. Thank you so much, Chris. I want to take this opportunity to thank you all for being here with us in the One Vibe Africa Club on Clubhouse. Today's topic is not New York, it's Nairobi city travel. This is a conversation that we'll be hosting here every single Tuesday. Travel Tuesdays is the theme of this room. And this is a passion of mine. Every year I've been traveling with a number of people from the US and Europe and Senegal and Ghana to Kenya. We've organized, events together. We've produced music together. We've been involved with running a number of programs, particularly in Kisumu, where I come from. So tonight, we are going to have a number of friends joining us in the room, but I'm particularly excited to introduce to you Fundi Frank, who is, a well-known fashion designer in Kenya, and also, he's one of the pioneer rappers in Kenya who brought the Kiswahili style of, rapping in Kenya. And he's also somebody that even some of the major, international artists that go to Kenya, he's amongst the first people that they normally reach out to. So I've also worked with him for years in the events that I've organized for One Vibe Africa in Kenya. And it just felt appropriate that he should be one of the first people I talked to during this series of conversations that we will be having about why it's important that we also, when we think of traveling, we think of Nairobi, we think of other cities in Africa before we think of New York and Thailand and Bangkok and the big cities in the West or in the East. So Fundi Frank, welcome. Just say something so that I can confirm whether everyone on Clubhouse can hear you. Oh, one moment. Okay, one moment. Fundi Frank, I think you muted yourself. Your audio, I can't hear you. I see you talking, but I can't hear you at all. Okay, just give us a moment. We're having a little bit of a technical situation here. Okay, okay. Okay, I have to get Fundi Frank out of the live stream for a moment, and then I'll bring him back. So Fundi Frank, just sign out and then, jump back into the call. Thank you. And again, welcome. This is an amazing session that we're holding here in the One Vibe Africa Club. Thank you so much for taking your evening to be here with us. Every year through One Vibe Experience, I've been traveling to Kenya with a number of people. One of the people I've traveled to Kenya with and worked closely with, Fundi Frank is back here. Just give me a second. Let me bring him on. Okay. I think we hear you now. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes. We hear you. Go ahead, please.
Okay, fine. Okay, thank you. I heard you earlier. And I heard the intros. I think the sound is now better. So I think you've done the introduction. So mine is just to welcome all of you. I'm in Nairobi city, and I welcome all of you. Yeah, Nairobi is one of those progressive cities in Kenya. There's a lot of things going on. And as we say right now, Nairobi is actually a construction site at the moment, because a lot of roads are being built all over bypasses to ease traffic. But the biggest one is the Nairobi Expressway, which is a road on top of another road, of the main road, that will take you from the airport through town and out of town for like 27 kilometers in 20 minutes. 10 minutes in the next like 3-4 months, you'll be able to leave the airport and be at your hotel or any destination in 20 minutes. So that's the good thing about Nairobi. So, and then the roads are being built around, so the traffic will ease considerably. So welcome to Nairobi, all of you.
Thank you so much, Fundi. So I know that your network is not steady at the moment. So I want to just get a little bit of a story. I want to learn a little bit more about you, and through your story, we are going to take everybody who has never been to Nairobi on a journey of, what it is like to travel to Kenya before. And I just want you to take us down memory lane to, the years when you started, your work in showbiz, from Mombasa. Just take us on a journey of who are some of the people that inspired you earlier on in your career in fashion design, and also in your career as an artist. And then who are some of the people that you currently work closely with, that if someone who has never been to Kenya comes to Nairobi today, they should definitely be paying attention to.
Okay, thank you, Simon. I hope you can hear me well now.
Oh yeah, we hear you very well. It's beautiful.
So I started my fashion and music journey in Mombasa, which is the second largest city in Kenya. It's a coastal city. It's an island, beautiful city. It's a tourist city, which most of you must visit when you come to Kenya. After Nairobi, you have to go to Mombasa as well on holiday. Currently, it's been discovered. It was discovered many years ago by the Germans, and mostly Germans and Italians, but mostly Germans. So there are a lot of German tourists who go to Mombasa every year. Some have even settled there. It's a very beautiful city, beautiful island. So I started there, and what used to happen back then is that everything that we consumed was from America, including music and fashion. So the music that were introduced to, that was international, was from America, and we immediately identified with hip hop, and of course reggae from Jamaica. But we loved hip hop because now we could see our fellow inner youth, fellow blacks, like people who talked about the hood. So we easily identified with the people, with the hip hoppers. So those were our first influence. And of course, the music, they were also influenced by people who made soul music. And of course, people like Michael Jackson was big in the world. So everyone looked up to all those kinds of artists. But now the real influence came from hip hop. And that's where I also started doing my hip hop. And back then we could not get clothes. So I had to devise ways of making our own clothes, me and my partner, so that we could look good on stage. And that's how I started my fashion journey. And then because Nairobi is the main city, so everything back then was happening in Nairobi. All the stations, all the big stations, all the newspapers, everything was happening. So I figured out how to come to Nairobi so that I can grow faster. And that's what happened. So in around 1990, I moved from Mombasa to Nairobi. And I've been in Nairobi since then. I mean, 1998. Actually, 98 is when I moved to Nairobi. And since then, I've been in Nairobi. So Nairobi is where everything is happening. And then during that time, fashion-wise, we were influenced, of course, by the American fashion that was being worn by the hip hop artists mostly. Kalkanai, then later South Pole, Fubu. So those are the fashion designs we were looking up to, not the big fashion houses like Versace or the Italian houses and the French houses. So we were introduced, most of us, and I was introduced to fashion via the hip hop street culture fashion, and that's how we realized these are things that we can make. So I started making jeans, and I learned how to make trouser and a shirt. Then I realized it's the same thing. It's just it's about tweaking here and there to make your design different. So that's how I got my inspiration. Then I started making jeans. So by making jeans and having then I realized, like, if I make jeans and I don't put my name, then people didn't realize that this stuff was made in Africa. So I realized that was a lost business opportunity. So I came up now with a name and started putting now my name on my brand, and then slowly by slowly I developed my logo. So that's how I made my brand, so that people could see it. And back then they knew that you could not make a pair of jeans or T-shirt with your name in Africa or in Kenya. So it gave me. That's how I started now making my business, because now people realize that this can be done in Africa. So that's how I started my music, and then of course I moved to hip hop. I'm into fashion. So up to now I'm still in the fashion industry, and partly music. I interact with music artists, because most of the music artists are the ones who market my fashion. So I've worked a lot with a lot of Kenyan artists, and then especially the previous ones, almost all the big artists, and then East Africa as well, Uganda, Tanzania, and then there was a time when we started, when the hip hop artists started coming to Kenya. Started with Coolio, then Lost Boys. There was a time the Lost Boys came, and they loved the jackets that I'd made for the crew that was hosting the event, and they took away the jackets because they could not believe that such jackets could be made in Kenya, in Africa. So, and that story blew up. It went to the station, newspaper.
Yeah, this is Simon speaking. We are here live and direct with Fundi Frank, who is a legendary fashion designer in Nairobi, Kenya. We just lost him. His network is not very steady, so we expected to have him just for a moment. When he comes back, we will be able to bring him into the live stream on Clubhouse. But I want to welcome everyone who has joined us for today's conversation. The topic is not New York, it's Nairobi city travel. And I want to welcome my brother Jarret to the room. Jarret is also, an amazing brother and a travel enthusiast, but also, a brother that is helping us build this movement around encouraging people to travel to the motherland. And so, Jarret, I want to pass you the mic so that you can briefly introduce yourself while we wait for Fundi Frank to join us. And then I'll also, just give you the space to guide the conversation for the next few minutes. The mic is yours, brother.
Hey, Simon, I appreciate that warm intro, and it's a pleasure to be here. And I'm super supportive of, your movement to make more people aware of the different aspects of traveling to Africa, in particular Kenya, in particular, Nairobi. My first time going to Nairobi, or I think that was my first African country. I've been to 7 African countries. Nairobi was my first spot in Africa that I've ever been to. And yeah, just like landing and seeing, the architecture and the busyness of Nairobi, it definitely wiped away all those, preconceived notions of what you would expect in, African trip to be, whether it's safari or, there's other kind of stereotypes, like, Nairobi is hustling, bustling, amazing nightlife. Went to Carnivore for the different meat selections. Went to the safari walk, and then just also just the nightlife. So I could talk all day about Nairobi, but what I am interested in is just kind of hearing from the room their experiences with Kenya and all the amazing things that are available there. Shout out to Mombasa as well, the beaches, Niali Coast, all of that, amazing nightlife, crazy. So yeah, like tonight, I want to learn as well. I want to learn from Fundi Frank. I want to learn from Simon. I want to learn from everybody on the stage about their experiences with Kenya or all the tourism opportunities in Africa. And if anybody has questions, feel free to hop on the stage and ask questions. It's going to be a really informal, fun room. So feel free to click that plus sign, invite as many people in the room. It's going to be a vibe, just like the name of the club, One Vibe Africa. Definitely make sure you follow the club. But yeah, I'm just excited to be here. So Simon, have we talked to any of the folks on stage yet?
Not yet, not yet. I just gave room for Chris and David introduce themselves briefly, but I want to suggest that we maybe engage Fundi Frank for a little while, maybe for the next 10 minutes before he has to go. So I wonder if we could start with him. He's now back online.
Perfect. Hey, Frank, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm very fine. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well. So Simon, go ahead and I'm definitely tuned in to hear more about everything he has going on. So I'll pass the mic back to you, Simon.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you, my brother Jarret. Yes, so Fundi Frank is someone I've worked with, and we've learned a little bit about his story. How he got into fashion, how he got into music. But I want you, Fundi Frank, now to just paint for us, Nairobi at night. I feel that nobody knows Nairobi like you do. So paint for us Nairobi at night, and then I also want you to paint for us some of the investment opportunities that, let's say, Jarret or David, who is in the room, or myself, if I want to invest in Nairobi, what are some of the things you hear in the streets, not in the news, but in the streets? What are some of the opportunities that exist? So just those two questions for now, and then if your connection is still good, I'll pass it to the room. I want maybe just to hear a little, feedback or question to you from some of the people on the stage before you have to go. And also, Jarret, feel free to engage Fundi Frank after these two questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Simon. You can hear me, right?
Yes, I hear you very well. Thank you.
Yeah. So, okay, Nairobi is a cosmopolitan town, and it has really changed in the last few years. And I think because of technology and how things have changed, the world has become a global village. So you'll find that Nairobi at night has diverse entertainment spots and what people can do. So from of course the lower inner city clubs and venues where you can visit and all that, and there's a lot of things going on. There are a lot of companies coming up. There are circuses, there are dances, everything, and all, you can get anything you want. And then from downtown to uptown, so there are a lot of uptown clubs are also coming up that are international. And then some are actually owned by foreigners. People who've stayed in Dubai, who stayed in Toronto, New York, are now coming to Kenya and setting up. There's that competition of nice joints where people in Nairobi, like many African countries, people are still crazy about English football and sports in general, and so people go to places where they can watch their sports, and there are some, let's say American football is also becoming very big because there are a lot of followers of American football. So you'd see on social media people discussing and, talking about such. So they'd go to places where rugby is being played, American football, but more so soccer, the English Premier League. If you don't have a screen somewhere, then you miss out. But luckily, things like screens have become cheaper and cheaper. So most clubs have screens. You know, even the inner hood clubs have big screens. You know, many are of course knockoffs, maybe from China. You know, China is very influential in Africa, in the world, but more so in Africa. So there's lots of TV screens, so people can watch anything. So, and then of course with social media, people interact, you know, one on one from all over the world. And then in terms of business opportunities, there's a lot of things based on your interest. There's nothing, you can always get something to do in Nairobi. You can always get something or someone who you can work with, and it's really opening up. There are a lot of, and you know, Nairobi is like the hub of East and Central Africa. It's a cosmopolitan town. In terms of language, there are a lot of people who speak English. Even, you know, the common man speaks English, which is a universal language, so it's easy to understand everyone. So human resource is very big in Nairobi. So that's why Nairobi, most of the multinational companies have their bases in Nairobi, their headquarters in Nairobi. Even the corporations, even the media houses like CNN, Al Jazeera, they are all stationed in Nairobi. So there's a lot of things going on. So there's a huge also international culture. There's the UN, United Nations in Nairobi is the biggest company, is the biggest office in the third world. So there's a lot of diaspora, you know, foreigners in Nairobi. So there are clubs also where you can only find just foreigners, maybe people from so a certain area. Then there's a lot of Indians as well. They have their clubs they go to. So there's anything you want, you'll get in Nairobi. So there's a lot of culture. Nairobi is a town of mixed culture, and it's even getting bigger and bigger and better. So that's what I can say about Nairobi. So, and then there are a lot of people who are now relocating from abroad. Many years back, when things were not good in the last in some past regimes, about 10, 15 years ago, the culture was for Kenyans to try and leave the country as much as possible and leave and try and look for pasture. So a lot of Kenyans left and stay, you know, went to the States, went to Europe and all over the world, especially States and Europe. But a few years back, when things became better, the regime became good, the governance became better, roads are being built, the lights are back, you know. People are now coming back, even just Kenyans who went to stay abroad. A lot of them have come back in the past few years, and now they are setting up all kinds of businesses and bringing back their expertise from abroad, and now joining up with the rest. And since right now we have the world is a global village, you'll find that things like IT, and then of course we have M-Pesa, which is revolutionary and is from Kenya. So doing a lot of things that is technology based is easy. So in Nairobi is a very conducive place to do any kind of business. So you are all welcome.
Thank you so much,
Simon.
Yeah. Well, I'm just smiling here because I feel that the Kenyan government needs to pay you to promote Nairobi.
Yeah.
Anyway, I want to check in with Jarret. Jarret, do you have any comments after hearing what Fundi Frank has shared? And also, shall we begin hearing a little bit from everyone on stage? I see that Jay is also tapping her mic and David is also tapping his mic. I think David and some of the Kenyans on stage know who Fundi Frank is, so maybe we could get a question or two from the room. Jarret, the mic is yours.
Yeah, no, I would definitely, while we have Fundi Frank, I would love the opportunity for folks on stage to ask any questions they might have for him. So you mentioned David and Jay tapping the mic. Let's go ladies first. Jay, did you have any questions or a comment that you wanted to add on to Fundi's statement?
Thank you so much, Jarret. Actually, this question is going to be for you. And this is a question that Simon in his podcast would ask his guests in terms of their takeaway from the Daily African Proverb Room, some of the interpretations of the proverb. What was their takeaway, and what was surprising for them? So, Jarret, in terms of your experience in Nairobi, what was your takeaway, and was there anything that when you actually arrived that surprised you? And this is Jay, and I'm finished speaking.
No, that's a great question. I think my takeaway was it's much more metropolitan and much more like New York City or Chicago, or Los Angeles in terms of just like the hustle and bustle of Nairobi. And it had this like, doesn't sleep type of energy to it. So that was my biggest takeaway as my first time even touching down in the continent of Africa, not really knowing what to expect. And then the next thing that was a takeaway is how much of the history is still alive, even in the hustle and bustle. It doesn't necessarily take away from it. And I'm not going to even act like I'm close to understanding the Maasai culture, but the actual impact of the Maasai culture in Nairobi and, just how that translates into the city, I thought that was pretty interesting. And I would love to hear, Simon and others' thoughts on that, because that's something I'm actually here more to learn about. But I got a small glimpse of it while traveling in Kenya, just mentioning the Maasai, the respect that they held, and the role that they held in the culture, and the fact that that they still had that impact in the city. I thought that was pretty cool as well. So those are some of my takeaways, initial takeaways for sure.
Did you visit Nairobi National Park, Jarret?
Yeah,
this is Frank.
Totally. I think language is another aspect of culture that, people who have never been to Africa but are of African descent, when you go to Nairobi, you might think that, even though it's very, modern and metropolitan and it's growing, a lot of people live in pockets with their tribesmen, with their ethnic communities, where the food from their tribe is readily available, and they have, systems and ways that they relate to each other. Even next year, as people, next year is elections, national elections in Kenya, and as people are mobilizing around that, you find that there is a pattern for people to mobilize around their ethnic communities. And these ethnic groups used to be the countries before the current countries that we know. There were various kingdoms, and they were all dismantled when the colonizers were creating the current borders that we have. So we should have an expert sometime. Today we have Fundi Frank, but one of the things I want to do while I'm in Kenya, and by the way, if you're joining us here for the first time, this is a session we are hosting every Tuesday, and we're actually gaining, we are gathering a list of people who can travel with me to Kenya next year. So if you're interested in doing that, we have a form that you can fill. I can send it to you. Just DM me, and I'll be able to send you the link to the form. But we are planning way in advance, and I'll be going to Kenya in the next week to do a lot of the planning. But every Tuesday, this is the second session. We had the first one last week. Every Tuesday we will be here in this room at this time, 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 7 a.m. East African Time, and we will be bringing different experts in the travel industry, not just in Kenya. But Jarret is also a travel hacker. I want him to talk about that later on, because in my experience over the last 7 years, getting people from the diaspora to travel with me to Africa, financing it has been the biggest challenge. And Jarret, knows how to, maneuver the traveling, and he knows of resources and ways that you can actually minimize your costs as you travel. That's one of the things I'm excited to learn from him. But I do want to make sure you pass it to David. I think David had a comment as well. David, go ahead.
Yeah, I do have a comment. And thank you, Jarret, for joining, and also for visiting. I really hope you enjoyed it. It's really good that you went to Carnival. That's one of the places actually that I can still remember. So it was nice. And Fundi, man, it's nice meeting you on stage. We all know you, over there. So really nice to meet you here. And thank you, Simon, for giving me space to at least ask a question. So Fundi, I wanted just to talk a little bit about the food, especially some of the joints there, because a lot of times when you go home, one of the things that you want to do is to get the feel and the taste of Kenyan food. And normally I know like Carnival is known for meat, especially the different types of meat. And then there is also fish, there are different types of vegetable. Can you maybe just share a little bit? What is your experience? Are there better joints coming up where when somebody goes, they must visit to feel the taste of the Kenyan food in Nairobi?
Thank you very much, David. Can you hear me?
Very well, thank you.
Yeah, so that's a good question. What's been happening in Nairobi now is that in the last few years, there has been a culture of people going back to eating traditional foods. And there are a lot of restaurants that have really come up in the last few years. And it's like a culture that has evolved that, there was a time when people were into eating, fish and chips, French fries, and chicken and stuff like that. But there was a guy called Mr. Osewe. He opened up one of the first nice restaurants in town that sells traditional food, ugali, fish, any kind of vegetables. So what has happened is because of that, he got a lot of traction, and now because of that, a lot of restaurants opened up that now sell traditional food. So right now, in every corner of Nairobi, you'll always get a place where you can eat the traditional foods and the local foods. And it's been a trend that's been going on. And right now, you can be spoiled for choice to get any kind of food anywhere. Yeah, so wherever you go in Nairobi, just ask your visitor. Just tell them I want to eat, ugali or nyama choma, or I want to eat the green vegetables, traditional foods, and you'll find them anywhere, everywhere in Nairobi. So anywhere in Nairobi, you can get any kind of food now.
Thank you for it.
Hey,
Yeah.
I have a follow-up question. If somebody goes to Nairobi or Kenya in general, what's the one plate that they have to have before they leave, and why?
The place they have to visit?
No, the plate of food of like Kenyan food that
Oh
somebody
yeah.
must
The
have
Kenyan,
before they leave.
Kenyan food you have to eat definitely is ugali and nyama choma. Ugali is the maize meal, the white maize meal, and then there's a brown one made out of millet, but it's just maize meal. It's an accompaniment that you can eat with fish and you can chicken. But ugali is the staple food, and the green vegetables that is cooked is called sukuma wiki. Sukuma wiki is it's called kale in English, but in Swahili it's called sukuma wiki, which is also slang. And that name came about. Sukuma wiki means push the weak. So that name came about because it's the green vegetable that was available everywhere, and anyone, even the poorest person, could eat that one. So it pushed you through the week. So it got the name Sukuma Wiki. So if you come to Kenya, ask for ugali and sukuma wiki. You will get it anywhere. And then you also have now a lot of vegetables coming around. So if you go to any restaurant in Kenya, you can get the ugali, then ask them what vegetables do you have. Right now, you'll be given a variety. You have cabbage, you have kales, we have a lot of them. So sometimes actually feel free when you come to Nairobi. The goodness of Nairobi is that it's still traditional, whereby you can ask for a plate of all kinds of vegetables and maybe at the price of one, you have that option. Yeah, you don't have to buy one plate of each. No, you can tell them I want a mix and they'll give you a mix of the vegetables so you can test them. But the ugali remains constant, which is a must eat. And then nyama choma is roast meat. So there is roast meat everywhere. It's huge. So it's a very huge industry. And so if you come to Nairobi, you have to eat nyama choma. You have to eat the ugali. And the ugali, most of the time, by the way, the greens is served free of charge. If you go to the middle class to lower class restaurants, the greens is so much available. It's free. It's an accompaniment with the nyama choma. But of course, if you go to uptown restaurants like Carnival, then maybe you'll be charged and all that. But ugali is a must eat. Did you eat ugali, Jarret?
I don't remember if I did or not, because what I like to do is, with a big smile, go up to locals and just ask for things like I asked you. I remember eating like this amazing whole fish with like the bones in it, and it was just like delicious. And I remember like one of my first memories actually was like the fish still had the eyes in it, so it was kind of staring at me, and the person I was with was like, "Ooh, the eyes are the best part," and she like put her finger in there and plucked it out and ate it. I was just like, "Wow, that's different." So that was one memory. But now after going back, I'm used to it.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
You want to say something?
Yeah, go ahead, Sambaza.
Hey guys, thank you so much, Jarret. Quick thingy: when you talk about ugali, look at it like grits minus the butter and the sugar in it and the salt. So that's kind of what you're looking at in terms of the ugali, but it's harder, and then you gotta eat it with your hands. Fundi Frank, niaje?
Poa.
Wewe umetuchoma at least nadhani sasa uko Java, so connection si mbaya.
No. Niko sawa. Niko on the way actually somewhere. Uzuri technology Nairobi iko juu. Once you have the bundles unasukuma tu.
Right.
But in places like Java unaweza pata Wi-Fi, free Wi-Fi.
Okay. We'll talk on Facebook. But anyway, let's go. Let's talk in English for everyone here. I want to talk about fashion because you are an icon of fashion. When I was growing up, I think when I just finished when I was turning 18, that's when you were about starting. I'm aged up right now, and fashion has moved. Now you have fashion houses, and what I wanted to kind of have you tell the ladies around, because most of the time when we go to Kenya and I take my wife to Kenya, she always comes back with an African attire, because most of them, they stopped wearing the European type of cloth. They have their own designs, the Kenyan designs come of it. Where can they get it in Nairobi? So that, when our ladies go, even the gentlemen, when they go there, let's say Jarret and the rest, they can go and actually find nice shirts, not the ordinary kitenges, like the ones that Sauti Sol wears, that kind of outfit. We have design houses, and where can they find them? I'm done speaking. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. Okay, in Nairobi, right now, what visitors can get immediately is the kitenges, and of course, as they buy their artifacts and their carvings, when they go to any Masai market, they're called Masai markets, they're all over. So if you ask for Masai market, then from the Masai market, you can get now the fashion. But however, right now things are moving such that a lot of fashion houses are coming up, and actually there's a television station coming up that I'm part of that will be launched next month. This television station is about selling. It's a different station. It's not about politics and news. It's mostly about selling stuff and entertainment. So through these such stations, now you'll get all designers. Of course, I'll let Simon. Simon will get the link, and then the word will go out. So this such a station will is geared towards selling all the kinds of all the fashion houses that are available, where to find them, their contacts and everything. And then personally, I'll also be there. And one of the things that I've focused on is selling Nairobi as a city, because mine is mostly urban. I mean, urban kind of wear. So we have prints coming up. So we've seen prints of New York, of London, everywhere, but we hardly see prints of Nairobi, being sold worldwide properly, and Kenya and the culture and the athletics and all that. So that's my strength, and that's the area I'm going to. So if one can also Google about Kenyan designers or just YouTube, you'll find some are already in that space. So if someone wants something to do with fashion immediately, you can just Google or go to YouTube, and you'll find people are now into this culture of showcasing their stuff on YouTube and showcasing their wares, showcasing where they are available. Yeah, thank you. I think I've answered you well.
Yeah, I do have a question though. For those who are not seeing Fundi Frank on camera, he's inside his car. I think he stopped before a meeting that he had in order for him to have this conversation with us. But I'm looking at the car seat he's sitting on. It's branded Fundi Frank. The jacket, everything is branded with your brand. I wanted you to. Sambasa, I wonder if you are done, but I wanted you to just talk about the importance of branding, especially because I've seen your brand from a long time ago, similar to what Sambaza was saying, and it's amazing how you've kept it in our minds for that long. Sambaza, I just want to make sure I give you space before Fundi Frank answers this question.
Oh no, I'm good. Fundi Frank has answered my question, and it was a pleasure talking to you, Fundi Frank. We'll talk on the other side.
Okay. Simon, I think when it comes to branding, that's one of the things that has kept me going. Just like the other brands, worldwide brands that have been started. So I realized that in Kenya and Africa, we also need to have our own brands that we can stick to and keep pushing until now we go global. So luckily, things like the internet is here, so we can now start selling online. We can start being seen on YouTube worldwide. So that's the importance of branding. So when one has a brand that can be recognized, just in the same way we know now, like the global brands, these days when they come out, we already know through social media, and then we follow them. And then brands, human beings naturally are attracted to brands that they know, and especially in fashion. For example, someone would wear Nike anytime because they know, or Adidas, they know this is a trusted brand. This is a brand that has been there for long. They've done a lot of research. They've done a lot of mistakes, and now they've done a lot of corrections. So where they are now, their stuff is good, and that's what I've also been doing as well. Just trying to improve on the Fundi Frank brand as we go along, trying to make it better, and trying to make it more and more available.
Excellent. Thank you so much, my brother. Jarret, I want to bring the mic back to you so that you can, lead the conversation for the next few minutes. Thank you.
Hey, thank you, Simon. So I want to honor everybody on stage because I know some of you might be here for Fundi Frank. So please flash your mic if you have a question for Fundi so that you have a chance to get it in before Fundi might have to leave. So flash your mics for anybody that wants to jump in, ask a question or a comment, or just a statement in general. Donna, Rekka, Carol.
Okay, thank you, Jared. Another thing I wanted to say is that you asked about the food. Now,
yes, sir.
Yeah, another thing that when someone comes to Nairobi, they make sure they go to is the Nairobi National Park. Nairobi National Park is the only park within a city in the whole world. There's no other city in the world that has a park next to it. So Nairobi has actually a national park with all kinds of animals apart from the elephant. So when you come to Nairobi, please make sure you tell them, take me to Nairobi National Park. It's within the city, and it's just one side of the city. They made sure it was secured, so all animals are there. And then next to the park, there is an animal orphanage. It's like a zoo, which has now like animals that are caged. They are put in spaces. But after in the same area now, you can go actually into the park and see the animals. And then you have picnic sites, you have places where you can chill, and then people are allowed to stay there till up to 6 p.m. because now at night the animals have to sleep, so human beings have to leave. So by 6 p.m. you're told to leave the park. So anyone who comes to Nairobi, make sure you go to Nairobi National Park. Another interesting thing is the Giraffe Center, where you'll get giraffes and you get a chance. There's a time the tour guides normally know the best time to visit the Giraffe Center because you are allowed to feed them. There's a time they need to feed, so you're given some food and you give them. They're very friendly animals. They can kiss you. They can eat off your palm. If you're bold enough, you can give them the food through your tongue and they take it with their tongue. So that's the beauty of it. Yeah, and also there's one also where I think you can pay a little bit more, but there's a place where you can have breakfast with the giraffes, where you have your breakfast, and then they come through the window, and then as you eat, they can also share in your food. I think there's a way they do it where on your table, so your pictures can be taken where the giraffes are putting their head through the window and onto your table. As you eat your breakfast, they also eat with you.
I've seen that on Instagram, and it's one of those like really cool photo ops to like open up your window and the giraffe is waiting. It's really dope. And so Kenya, the national park, is that also called, or do they call it the safari walk?
Yeah, it's the safari walk, and then there's a park just next to it. You did that?
Yeah, I did the safari walk, and it was one of my favorite parts of Nairobi for sure. It's like it's not a zoo because the animals have the freedom to run around, so it's really cool to see that element. But it's like super safe, and it's that distance, but it's not like they're in cages. So yeah, I enjoy that experience way more than the zoo. So if anybody's listening that hasn't been, I co-sign it. It is a really, really cool experience. And it's not like a far drive out the city. It's actually in the city. So super convenient in that way too.
Yeah.
If I can add
did you go to the national park?
I'm not sure because I know I went to the safari walk, quote unquote. But I don't know if I went to the national park or not. I probably didn't, but I did do the safari walk.
Next time you need to go to the national park because it's just next, but you can go in with your car, any car, because the roads are good. But if you have a guide, they can take you around. It's a very big area, and now you can see the animals in their natural habitats. And the animals that you can obviously see are buffaloes. You can see the giraffes. Sometimes you can see lions. Just in their natural habitat in the bush. Sometimes when you're driving by and then a buffalo passes by, or you just see it feeding on the side, of the road, and it's very, very interesting. So next time you come to Nairobi, please tell them to take you now to the national park, just next to the nature walk.
Nice, nice, nice. I definitely will. Simbaza, would you want to say? And Rekka, I see you as well.
Rekka, you want to go first?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask. I have a question.
Yeah.
Let me introduce myself. Yeah, I'm from India, and I am working in the fashion. I mean, I have owned my own boutique and my brand in Indian fashion. So I just wanted to understand if I want to expand in Nairobi, uh, what percentage of Indian people are there, and mine is mostly the traditional and the Indo-Western wear. So I just wanted to understand the market and where would I be taking references, because I'm not getting much of reference of the Indian people doing fashion there. So if you can throw some light on it, that will be great. Thank you. I'm done speaking.
Thank you very much for the question. I didn't get your name again. What's your name again?
I am Rekha.
Rika.
Rekha.
Thank you very much.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, this is Simon speaking. Go ahead, Jarret. I think we lost Fundi Frank.
Oh, we lost Fundi. That's a shame. Rekka, if he comes back, we'll definitely have him time to the next question. But um, he was mentioning my next time coming to Kenya, and obviously, I think my next time coming to Kenya is going to be with you, Simon. So I'd love for you to just kind of break down what the travel experience is going to look like, the dates, and where we can sign up for it, because I'm definitely excited to do it with a group of folks, especially with somebody like you. So like, let everybody know what the vision is, and also like, how do we actually sign up? So Simon, please take the floor.
Thank you so much, Jarret.
Simon,
You know,
Simon, if you don't mind
yes,
just
go ahead.
interrupting you,
Yeah,
I
go
do
ahead.
apologize. I just wanted to clear something out for you guys, just everyone to know this. When Fundi Frank was talking about the park, okay, I've been to the park, and what you can do is you can knock off three of the places that he's telling you. There's elephant sanctuary, the park, and the giraffe center. So what you do is you arrange for a very early in the morning, bright and early. You go to the park. As soon as you finish the park, you ask to go to the elephant sanctuary, and you'll hit the elephant sanctuary. As soon as you finish the elephant sanctuary, you can then hit the giraffe center. So you'll finish all the three in one day. You don't have to do them in 3 days. So you just dedicate one day to just seeing those animals. Quick reminder, maybe you may forget, but if you go to the animal sanctuary, the elephant sanctuary, you will have to have cash. You pay it in cash. That's all. But it was a great experience when I did that about a year and a half ago. Thank you. I'm done speaking. Go ahead, Simon. Sorry to interrupt.
Can I speak?
Yes, of course. Go ahead, please.
Oh yeah, we also have an ostrich park, which you want to visit in Nairobi. It's an ostrich park, and also Mamba Village.
Wow. I've never been to Mamba Village. I've always wanted to be to go to Mamba Village myself. Chris, did you have something else to add?
Oh yeah, thank you. Actually, for about 4 years, I was a tour guide in Kenya. So usually would do Masai Mara, which is the main thing, and then at the end of the trip, we'll do Nairobi. I think everything is pretty much done. I mean, pretty much said by Fundi and Sambaza and MK. The only thing.
In America. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Africa, tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze.